there. That's the champion. Real man, real man.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And let's hear it from my wife, my Caymanian girl, my life partner, and someone who also has a servant's heart and always generously doing good deeds, my wife, my best friend Lavinia, who will be an outstanding First Lady of West Bay West. Can we also give a big shout out to all of our intelligent, caring, and ambitious ladies here this evening. As a matter of fact, I would like all gentlemen here this evening to please stand. And all others who are hearing my voice, wherever you are, please stand. Let's salute our ladies and a round of applause to all of them. Let's let them know that we'll always take care of them and will never, never harm them. Gentlemen, you may be seated. And I promise you, when I am elected on the 14th of April, we will ensure that there are stiff penalties, including imprisonment, and a zero-tolerance policy on anyone who commits violence or abuse against our women. Earlier today, I turned on the website for our campaign. The address is Mario, number 4, West Bay West, or wbw.com. I invite those of you who are here, those who are watching and listening by social media and Radio Cayman, to check out our website. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is an honor to be here tonight. I feel wonderful about the crowd, those of you in the cars, those of you listening at home, those of you all through this neighborhood, all of you in West Bay West. I also wish to thank our gallant, graceful lady, our mistress of ceremonies, Miss Daphne Orette. And also all the wonderful people who spoke here tonight and gave endorsements. We've only just begun towards our glorious journey to victory, and you are the wind beneath my wings. I also bring you greetings, as Lavinia said, from my 91-year-old mother, Vinette, who lives in Newlands, and who did mobile voting this week for another good man. But she said that she wished she could be in West Bay to vote for me, her son. My friends, on the 1st of March, the Mario Ebanks campaign armada left harbor and set out to sea on our mission. We've been making various stops at ports since then, taking on new passengers and new crew, including defectors from the opponent's camp, many of whom are all around this West Bay West. We are picking up steam and momentum and heading towards our home port, which is the House of Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, for almost 40 years, I've been a keen advocate and worker of nation building. As a servant leader, I have worked behind the scenes on the front lines of a wide variety of community and public policy initiatives. After many years of doing this, I heard the call to serve as an elected policy citizen. This was especially after I saw the misconduct in public office and public policy failures, such as the first Cayman Bank failure, where many West Bayers lost their life savings in 1997, and later, the Caymanian status fiasco by the UDP cabinet in 2003. You know those stories. But when I lost the election in May 2005, I stood in a spot not very far from this place and publicly said that I was finished with politics in West Bay. A few days after making that public statement, my father, the late Philip Ebanks, said to me that if I had a heart of genuine desire to be elected, then I may not want to surrender that purpose. Nevertheless, for the next 16 years, I resorted to dedicating myself to faithful service behind the scenes, working in the community and in our church, and serving our country in many other ways. as can be seen in my bio and by the endorsements here tonight by the wonderful people on this stage. However, in 2020, with the onset of COVID-19 virus pandemic, I saw an opportunity to play a role in the resetting of the vision for these our beautiful Cayman Islands. A better way forward, a positive change for the long-term good of our homeland. Furthermore, the other reason is the charge, conviction, guilty plea, and sentencing of my opponent for an unprovoked attack on a young lady at a 7 Mile beach bar. That left me, and I'm sure it will leave any other real men, with a strong conviction that enough is enough. And I wondered, how long can this man expect to breach, dishonor, and erode the public trust, and to flaunt around like he's a savior with an entitlement to serve as the MP long after he has lost all credibility to do so? So late last year, as I began to contemplate being a candidate for West Bay West, I began to get calls and approaches from many people, including, as I mentioned, from deep within the constituency base and amongst the core supporters of my opponent. Then the voice of my late father came back to me, and I heard what he told me in 2005 about not giving up. And my spirit said I should try this again one last time. As usual, when making any decision, my contemplation includes prayer and going to the scriptures. I tried to negotiate with God. I tried to have a bargaining with him and asked him to find somebody else for this job. But then I reflected on the words of Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8, which says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord say, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here I am, send me.'" From that day forward, I knew what I had to do. I felt that my campaign was divinely inspired and guided. I also knew that then too, that this campaign would be a great struggle of will and determination. I knew that it would be somewhat of a David versus Goliath situation, or in earlier times like the gladiators, or in boxing like the Rumble in the Jungle, or in Braveheart, or like D-Day in World War II. Nevertheless, none of these scenarios bothered me because I felt then, as I now feel even more, the strength of purpose and the promise of being bold and courageous as found in Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. I also reflected on that glorious day in 1975 at the Sir John A. Campbell Primary School Sports Day when I was a young boy, and when I went on that day to win the award of Victor Ladorum, or Champion Boy, despite running all day, being very tired, but finding the strength and determination to soldier on. That day in 1975, I was able to succeed because of the cheering of my parents and well-wishers on the sidelines of that track right here on the Town Hall School field. As I struggled and pushed to win every race, I felt that. Today, my friends, you are those cheerleaders, and we are going to win this election in West Bay West in 2021. We're going to win because of your cheering and your genuine concern and work. So to confirm my dedication to you, I have adopted St. John chapter 10, verses 1 to 16 as a scriptural charge for my future as a member of Parliament for West Bay West, and to be a reflection of my life thus far as a community and public servant. The highlights of that scripture are just a few words. The good shepherd knows his sheep, and his sheep knows him. He listens to his voice. The good shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. Ladies and gentlemen, I had two conversations in January and February of this year with my opponent. I was trying to encourage him to retire gracefully and not go down in disgrace by being humiliated in the polls on the 14th of April. This was especially after so many of his big supporters were switching their support to him from him due to his style of leadership and his love for preaching hate and division. He told me in those two conversations two reasons why he wanted to run and be elected in 2021. I will tell you one of those reasons tonight, but you just wait until you hear the second reason. I will tell you that at our next public meeting. My opponent told me in January in a telephone conversation that he wanted to be elected so that he could get a milestone of having 40 years as an MLA or an MP. He told me, I don't want to be a minister or premier, I just want to be the speaker. So there you have it. Wow. As the young people say, whatever. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have to tell you about his wish for 4 more years as I see it. The cost of living is up, but minimum wage is only $6 per hour, but yet he wants 4 more years. West Bay has no hurricane shelter or proper civic center after his 36 years, but yet he wants 4 more years. Families are under stress and threat, and our children are losing hope in their future, but yet he wants 4 more years. Construction cranes dot the landscape of our beautiful 7-mile beach corridor, and the planning board speeds up the approval of huge development projects in sensitive areas, while at the same time small Caymanian home builders get nothing but red tape and regulations and can't get jobs, but yet he wants 4 more years. Women are being groped, abused, victimized, insulted, and marginalized, but yet he wants 4 more years. People in West Bay are living in poverty. Children are going to school without proper nutrition or a lunch program. But on the other hand, large developers are getting millions of dollars in tax concessions, sweetheart deals, and giveaways, but yet he wants 4 more years. This government is supporting the development of high-rise condominiums. As the Speaker of the House, my opponent said in his Christmas message a couple of years ago that he supports high-rise towers of 30 to 50 stories high. Can you imagine? While at the same time, small Caymanian businesses are being squeezed into non-existence, but yet he wants 4 more years. Our MP in West Bay West embarrasses us as a people in these islands, locally and internationally, and sets a poor example of misconduct and misbehavior, but yet he wants 4 more years. While some women in these islands live in fear and march in silence against domestic violence and violence against women, my opponent, the last Speaker of the House, thinks it's okay to physically assault a young lady. Real men do not do that. Who does he think that he is? But yet, he wants 4 more years. Young men and women in West Bay who get caught with a small amount of marijuana may lose their freedom, get a tarnished police record, are disadvantaged in the labor market, and have impediments for traveling. However, at the same time, my opponent is charged, pleaded guilty, and convicted and sentenced on criminal charges, but is allowed to keep his job as Speaker, and yet he wants 4 more years. Our youth are at risk, and they are looking for good role models, especially father figures. But when we have our most senior MP and the father of the House acting like an abusive gangster and a night owl out partying, what kind of example is that? But yet he wants 4 more years. My opponent is supporting the building of a new huge concrete and steel cruise terminal and jetties in pristine Hogstye Bay, and also wants to remove hundreds of acres of seagrass from the Barkers area here in West Bay. But he thinks that's fine because that's development. That's not development. That's development, but that's not progress. But yet he wants 4 more years with that kind of mentality. It's time for him to go. My opponent tried to impose income tax on this country when he was the leader of government business several years ago, while at the same time not proposing anything to address the cost of living or minimum wage, but yet he wants 4 more years. Ladies and gentlemen, are you going to give him 4 more years? No. Let me hear you. Let me hear you again. No more years, sir. Your time is up. High time. Your time is up. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 14th of April, send him to his farm in Badamano, which he's operating on land that Dart has given him. Send him to farm. He is a good farmer and a good singer. It's time for him to retire now and enjoy his life of farming. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for us to look forward. Let's look forward to our bright future with a better vision, ideas, and solutions. That is what I and my campaign offers to this country. My friends, you have heard me on Radio Cayman and social media during the past few weeks talking about our manifesto ideas and how I can get these things done, these ideas and solutions. Not just talk, but plans for action. And I thank all those speakers here and Ms. Marjorie, my mentor, who spoke about these plans that we have, big plans. But our campaign and manifesto has a host of visionary plans and policies. And we can get it done. We can do it because our plans capture ideas and solutions. Here now tonight, I want to give you just a brief summary of some of those ideas which we can implement if you elect me. You have to elect me, as my colleagues here and all around West Bay West realize. We can't get this done unless and until you elect me as your MP on the 14th of April. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 4 years, West Bay has not had a minister in government. We have only had a speaker who is really only a part-time representative. He makes excuses all the time about, my hands are tied, I'm only the speaker. But you're also elected. You're also elected as an MP. But over the years, as somebody said in one of the speeches earlier, he has made West Bay into a district of beggars, a welfare state. It's time for him to go. My friends, West Bay needs to have working MPs with at least one minister. West Bay needs at least one minister. I want to work for you every single day. As my lovely wife Lavinia mentioned, if you elect me, I will serve you in any capacity, as an MP, as a minister, or even as Premier. It's time, West Bay West, it's time. It's time to empower our families and communities in West Bay West, to inspire resilient and safe communities, intervene with our youth at risk and young people, protect our elderly, and give first-time offenders a second chance in life. It's time to build a strong, proper hurricane shelter and multipurpose hall in West Bay, while at the same time introducing a workable district council to provide convenient and leadership development for our country. My friends, a district council will empower the citizens. The MP will have additional advisors and community partners to help him or her, and members of the district council can be developed to succeed our members of parliament in the future. That's called succession planning. Yes. It's also time to ensure that our economic pillars are strong and protected, that we safely open our tourism industry. And I have announced that if elected, I will push for the displaced tourism worker subsidy or stipend to be increased from $1,500 a month to $2,000 a month for all those people who qualify. And I repeat that tonight, and I even noticed that today, Premier McLaughlin is saying the same thing. He got that idea from West Bay West and from us. Of course, his running mate down here in West Bay West, my opponent, will say that it's his idea, as he always does. We said it first. The difference is, if I'm elected, we're going to do it. We must also develop proper strategies for medical and sports tourism, while at the same time carefully protecting and promoting our financial services industry. But equally important, ensuring that Caymanians have first choice for good-paying jobs in both sectors, tourism and financial services. It's time to diversify our economy, to encourage small industries in West Bay West and everywhere else. Focus on new industries and technologies such as alternative energy, green technologies, and also optimize trade and economic activities within the broader Caribbean region, where we can get a lot of good products at much cheaper prices and convenient. It's time, my friends, it's time to manage our growth in a sustainable fashion and design a new long-term strategic development plan for our islands, which I am calling Vision 2050. And in that plan, we will ensure that big developers and investors no longer get sweetheart, secretive deals on import duty and other concessions, but they pay their fair share to offset the impact of their developments on our infrastructure, especially our roads and everything else, our fragile environment and our community and our society. It's time to, if you elect me and other independent candidates across these islands, we will work together for your benefit. And the days of short-term gain for long-term pain will be over. It's time to develop and introduce a proper system of health insurance for all, including for employees, families, retirees, the elderly, and the indigent, while at the same time improving the protocols and resources for early detection of disabilities in our children, our future, together with proper mental health facilities in West Bay District. Ladies and gentlemen, there are too many talented people in West Bay who are losing hope in the future because they are plagued by drug or alcohol abuse, domestic abuse, depression, or parental neglect. We owe it to them to give them a chance for a better future. No longer can we give them handouts only, we must give them a hand up. It is time for us to develop a long overdue strategy for affordable housing and property ownership in this country. A plan which ensures the reasonable access to affordable and decent housing, as well as access to affordable and adequately zoned residential land, augmented or supported by proper access to long-term mortgage financing for home ownership. Ladies and gentlemen, when you give Caymanians, especially our young Caymanians, the opportunity to own their own homes, then they have a greater stake in our islands, they become more hopeful, they become empowered, and they become better engaged citizens. It's simple, simple. It's time to ensure that large foreign developers or speculators do not buy up all of our affordable land in these islands. And when you elect me, you can rest assured that I will be in that ring, soaring like an eagle, always fighting for you and for the causes that are important to you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rest assured that these 8 manifesto plans that I've just briefly summarized to you, and the 8 others I'll talk to you about in our next public meeting, they are just not words or empty promises. These are commitments that I am making, commitments. And when I get a job, I do that job and I get that job done. So you can take that to the bank. If you like what you're hearing here tonight, I want you, as Sheen mentioned, talk to your neighbors. Talk to anyone you know in West Bay West and ask them to vote for me. Call them, go door to door, invite me to go with you when I need to and when I can, and I want to get there to see all of the people. Because all of us are in this together. This is a fight. This is David versus Goliath. But we can do it. We can do it. Because, my friends, if you really want change, I need every single one of you to be change makers. Together, we can restore dignity, build better communities, and achieve positive change in West Bay West. West Bay West, it's time, high time. As I end my talk tonight, I want to thank all of you who have been praying for me, supporting me and my wife, working in our campaign committee, or quietly working behind the scenes. I respect that too. For those of you who are calling people, talking to people, knocking on doors, sharing our plans and solutions, and also doing a wonderful job on social media, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But tonight, I want to also send out a special message to the supporters of my opponent here in West Bay West, because someone mentioned earlier that Mr. Bush should vote for me as well, and I think he should. But several of my opponent's supporters have called me confidentially. And confidentially, they've said that they have a sense of despair and disappointment, and they want to leave his camp. I want to say to you tonight, all of you who support my opponent, I want to say to you tonight that if you're feeling hopeless, abandon his campaign and walk on Freedom Street and join us. We have a home here for you. And I say the same thing to West Bay voters who are undecided or who feel that they must be loyal to him because he's helped them over the years with government funds or somebody else's funds, not his own funds, mind you. I also say to you, come over and join the Mario Ebanks campaign. You're welcome here. It's a better way forward. Vote for me on the 14th of April, even if you're afraid to tell him. And keep in mind, it is a secret ballot, as Siobhan and as Melissa mentioned. He will not know who you voted for. Take his turkeys and his hams and his beans and whatever else given to. Get behind that secret ballot and mark that X for Mario Ebanks. As Denny mentioned last week, that's the best gift you can give to this country on the 14th of April. And keep in mind, when I am elected, I'm going to represent all West Bay West constituents. All West Bay West constituents. Tonight, eat him out, drink him out, and vote him out. That's right, my sister. Tonight, I promise and commit to you, my supporters, as well as those who are in the middle, and those of my opponent supporters who will also vote for me, that I will not embarrass you, but instead, I will be a dependable role model, someone that you can be proud of, someone who embodies honesty, decency, integrity, and compassion. Character is on the ballot in West Bay West on April the 14th, and I am the Member of Parliament, the only candidate who meets that criteria. I will not buy your vote. I want to earn your vote. There is an old Church of God hymn called Stand Up for Jesus, which we played tonight when Brother Sheen came forward. And tonight I want to end by quoting some of the words from that wonderful song as an inspiration to all of us. And it goes like this: forth to the mighty conflict in his glorious day, you that are brave now serve him against unnumbered foes. Let courage rise with danger, and strength to strength oppose. Where duty calls or danger, be never wanting there. This day, the noise of battle, the next, the victor's song. Our victor's song is April the 14th, April the 15th. We can do it. With your help, we can do it. My friends, all of the voters in West Bay West, all of the good people around this world and in the Cayman Islands, our campaign is about embracing future challenges and solutions and preparing our lovely West Bay West and our beloved Cayman Islands for the dawning of a better and brighter future. West Bay West, you have a choice on April the 14th. And since you've already tried the rest for 36 years, now it's time to elect the best. I want and need your vote on April the 14th. Give me a chance and I will never let you down. May God bless and protect these islands. Thank you for coming tonight and also listening and watching us on the radio or in social media. Stay behind to greet me and have some wonderful refreshments and get your wonderful T-shirts. I think you'll love them. Good night. I love you. God bless you. And God bless the Cayman Islands.